2008 is a year I hold very close to my heart. Many lovable movies came out that year. The Dark Knight, Iron Man, Kung Fu Panda. But out of all of those movies, one movie stuck with me. It was my favorite movie that year. It was a little movie made in my hometown of Hong Kong. I remember seeing this movie all the way back in 2008 when I still lived in Hong Kong. I remember my dad bringing me to the theater. He was a massive Bruce Lee fan, and as an extension, a fan of Ip Man. I remember taking my seat and just being in awe of the entire story. I'd never seen action quite like this. It was mind-blowing. I could feel every punch. I could feel every hit in my seat. I remember coming out of that movie and my dad saying to me, "That was just as good as the Bruce Lee movies I used to see as a kid." Ip Man was a biographical martial arts film based on the life of Ip Man, grandmaster of the martial art Wing Chun. The film focuses on the events of Ip's life, which took place in the city of Foshan during the Sino-Japanese War. The film was directed by Wilson Yip and stars Donnie Yen as Ip Man with martial arts choreography by Heung Kang-bo. Ip is this unbeatable kung fu master in a position where he can no longer punch his way out of his problems. Or no matter what he does, he can't win.
我今日發覺我自己真係冇用，咩都做唔到。
Through the movie, Ip learns that power doesn't come from how hard you hit or how fast you kick. It comes from inspiring people. There's this amazing scene in the film where Ip wins. He wins against the main villain, but he looks around. He won, but there are corpses in the streets and imperial flags on buildings. He won the fight, but the Japanese are still here. They're still occupying Foshan. He won, but nothing happened. There was no reward. The reward Ip gets is when he becomes a symbol to rally behind, one to inspire the Chinese people to take arms against the Japanese. Ip Man was a perfect balance of pure breathtaking action, combined with heartfelt and thought-provoking themes mixed in with real history. It finds a way to challenge the unbeatable. Ip Man 2 is a reminder of the pleasure of classic martial arts films in which skilled athletes perform many of their own stunts. In its direct and sincere approach, it's a rebuke to the frenzied editing that reduces so many recent action movies into incomprehensible confusion. I love this movie, possibly more than the first one, and my hype for this movie when I was a kid was through the roof. The first one blew my mind, and I was expecting even more action, and they brought it. The problem with rewatching your favorite movie almost 10 years now is that it might not hold up, but I'm glad to say it does. Ip Man 2 stepped up the action by tenfold. They threw everything they had at him. The action of strength versus speed. The action by Heung Kang-bo was absolutely amazing. Every aspect of the action was stepped up to the choreography and the speed all the way to the camera work and cinematography. The fight between Heung and Ip cost us 8 days of shooting time. The choreography of the battle was worked down to the very last detail. We were shooting with 2 cameras and a dolly turned to Sammo himself. I think we really succeeded creating an exciting action scene. We juxtapose Ip from the start of Ip Man 1 to Ip Man 2. It's a complete contrast. Ip is barely making a living and needs to scrape money. He now lives in a tiny apartment with his family and has to ask for school fees all the time just to survive.
唔使咁麻煩啦，交學費先，交學費先啊！
Not only that, but he finds out his fighting at Man 1 led to the Japanese to shoot his business partner and friend in the head, leaving him nothing but a broken man.
攞翻條走，攞佢走，走！ 文叔，行啦，我哋係我連累咗你哋。
Man 2 absolutely steps up Ip Man 1 on not just a physical level, but emotional and thematic level. Yes, Ip has to fight 100 dudes at a fish market with knives, but he also has to face how different his life is. He doesn't understand how Hong Kong works compared to Foshan, and that's why he fails. He angers a lot of people by refusing their way of life and sticking to his old moral roots. The emotional conflict is about reconciling with his new life and deciding to fight, but also to learn to compromise. He's a nobody. In Ip Man 1, we really see him established and famous. Here, he has to work back a name for himself from nothing. It's a reverse of Ip Man 1. Instead of a fall of him from riches to rags, we see the rise of him from rags to riches. In the first part, he was a rich man until the Japanese occupied China. He's low income in Hong Kong. His plan is to open a Wing Chun school. It proves to be difficult because he's not familiar with the rules. The rules are made by the other Kung Fu masters. Ip Man refuses to accept this, and he makes a lot of opponents. Ip is faced with the fallout of his fighting. This is why he's so hesitant to fight against Twister and his oppressors, because he knows what will happen when he fights. He knows the fallout of his fights. His arc in the movie is to move past this. It's to fight no matter the consequences because it's the right thing to do. At the end of the movie, right before the fight, we see Ip finally reconcile with his actions by helping out his friend. He doesn't fight the first time because he knows what effect he can have with his fighting. His fighting has negative effects all around, which is a challenge for him. It challenges his morals. He's morally perfect, yet he fights. It asks how his fighting can turn to more of a positive thing. And at the end of the movie, he finds a positive output for his Kung Fu, which leaves Hong Kong impacted with a positive message.
我唔係想證明我哋中國嘅武術係比西洋拳更加優勝，而係我想講，人嘅地位雖然有高低之分，但係人格係唔應該有貴賤之別嘅。我好希望由呢一刻起開始，我哋大家係會懂得點樣去互相尊重。
They ask a moral question whether an outsider should assimilate to the current place they're in, or should they be allowed to bring in their outside values. Both Hung and Ip are on opposite sides. One chooses righteousness, the other chooses compromise. Ip doesn't understand Hung's struggle to survive, and Hung doesn't understand Ip's morals.
記得每個月月頭交會費啊！
交咩會費？
規矩嚟嘅啫，個個都交噶啦，一個月100蚊啫，交咗就冇麻煩啦。
如果仲有邊位師傅覺得我未夠資格嘅，我隨時候交。但係如果淨係要滿足過你個人嘅利益，我不能夠接受。
咁隨便你啊！以後有麻煩就唔好嚟揾我。你而家可以走。
To ask the audience whether we should compromise with our oppressors and make the best of our situation, or stand up and fight.
話俾你知，雖然我冇咗間武館，但係拳我會繼續教，錢我一定唔會俾。你以後唔好騷擾我班徒弟，亦都唔好俾麻煩過其他人。
而家係你俾麻煩我啊！係你唔守規矩。如果冇我同啲鬼佬疏通嘅，全香港咁多間武館可以平平安安咁教拳咩？
係你選擇向洋人妥協。
移民，你淨係識顧住自己，你冇200幾人喺魚欄跟你揾食，你梗係可以唔使睇鬼佬面色啦，梗係可以扮清高啦。
我明白你嘅心情，大家都係為咗生活，但係我哋作為人哋嘅師傅，係咪要好好地先教好自己嘅徒弟啊？
The movie has a perfect conclusion to this by having each side learn a little more about the other. In the end, Hung learns how to stand up and fight and take arms against the oppressors after compromising so much.
我可以忍，但係冇我哋中國武術就唔得。
While Ip learns to compromise with them after fighting so much.
經過裁判員嘅商議，今場比賽唔準用腳。If you don't agree, you'll forfeit the match, and Twister will be announced the winner. Is that clear? 你唔同意，可以起拳，拳王將會自動勝出，明唔明白？
In the end, they swap places. You can be all powerful, you can be all strong, but nobody is above from looking at things from another perspective and making a friend. When I went to see Ip Man 3, I came out of the theater slightly disappointed. It wasn't that great. The fight with Tyson was absolutely hyped up, but it was only 3 minutes and it lacked much of the action and emotional weight that I'd come to love and expect from Ip Man. The themes and tones of the movie was amazing, but only in the third act. Ip Man was given a situation he couldn't fight his way out of. Giving his wife cancer was an amazing way to make him deal with a new situation to me. At the end of it all, I thought it was disappointing. However, rewatching this movie has made me realize that it's aged like a fine wine. Unlike previous movies, this movie decides to bring down the action and focus more on the raw emotion relationships in Ip's life. Each movie has a tendency to step up the action. This definitely stepped up the action, but also stepped down the action a bit. The reason why one scene works and the other doesn't work is because one scene has Ip engaging in close hand-to-hand combat with one person, while the other one just has him plowing through guys. In a one-to-one fight, there's a lot more attention to detail as you're seeing everything on the screen. But when you see him just plowing through people, there's no real attention to detail. It's really just him plowing through people. There's no actual challenge presented. The movie continues the trend of having the main villain embody something. In Ip Man 1, it was the invasion and oppression of the Chinese people under the Japanese. In Ip Man 2, it was the racism faced against the people of Hong Kong. In this movie, the theme isn't very clear. It's either the fleeting existence of life or the Chinese mob. But sure, the main villain of the movie is Chang Ting-ji or the Chinese mob or Mike Tyson, whatever you think it is. But the real villain is cancer, the ticking time clock that Ip can't beat. To win the fight against his wife's cancer, he needs to lose the fight to Chang Ting-ji. Speaking of which, Chang Ting-ji is a horribly written character. Thank God he gets better in his own movie. But he has no layers. He comes off as a supposedly layered person, but he really has no layers. If I asked you why does he do what he does, you probably couldn't think of an answer. He comes off as just a dick, but then also a hero. He fights for fame and fortune, but we don't know why. We can't empathize with him, but this is what we should be able to do. He has a son, and we see his actions aren't all bad, yet we can't empathize with him. We don't know what motivates him. We don't know why he fights. He fights because he's a dick, I guess? I don't know. But if he's a dick, why did he save all those kids? The writing of this character was handled very poorly, but the movie gets to its emotional and physical peak during the third act. The movie can't seem to commit to an emotional story with less action, so it compromises poorly with a crappy B-plot about the mob or something. Despite all of that, the third act is amazing and paints a beautiful tragedy with emotional scenes that perfectly mix drama and action. There's no way to beat the antagonist of the movie. That's because the antagonist is unbeatable. This wasn't Ip Man 1 where he could raise the people to fight the army. This wasn't Ip Man 2 where he could beat the racist guy. This is time. You can't beat time, but he can spend it well. He misses an important fight for her. This is why the final fight works well, but not perfectly. Final fight didn't need to happen. The movie didn't need a physical climax to me. It could have ended on an emotional climax. Chang Ting-ji could have won, but this wouldn't matter to Ip because he spent time with his wife before she left. To me, this film should have ended on Ip working on the wooden dummy while his wife watches, bringing it all together. She's done so much for him, and in that time, he returns the favor. She wants him to continue what he loves doing, so he practices for her one last time, so she can die knowing that he will continue doing what he loved for her. This allows a sequel to be made, where he comes back into the world after his wife dies, and it would have worked perfectly. But instead they decide to take another route, the final fight route. Still good, but not the best choice. Instead she allows him to go to the fight, one last fight for her to see. He had done so much for her, now she wanted to return the favor. The final fight is just amazing, with amazing choreography, amazing camera work, and amazing emotional weight. You see at the end Ip declaring what is important to him. It's not Wing Chun, it's not fame, it's not fortune. All of these things Chang Ting-ji has been fighting for is not important. What he needed, he already had. His son. Somebody he loved, somebody important, somebody he wanted by his side.
其實最重要嘅，始終都係你身邊嘅人。
The ending made me cry. It wasn't a happy victory, it ended with death and just Ip drinking tea. He had a melancholy ending. He won the fight, but his wife is gone. There was no winning this fight, and he knew it. The movie asks us to assess what's important to us. Is the most important thing to us our work, or is it the people we love? saw the poster for this movie and I went to go see it the week after on a whim. I didn't even know this movie was coming out until I went to see Bumblebee. And I have to say, it's been one of the most wonderful surprises in my cinematic experience. It was a wonderful trip that visited what made Ip Man 2 great, but also unique enough to stand alone. Not only was the action amazing from Yuen Woo-ping, the man who did The Matrix and Kill Bill, but the characters were great and heartfelt considering it was also Yuen Woo-ping's directorial debut. Unlike Ip Man 3, the fight scenes here had emotion and character throughout the entire movie. The Dave Bautista fight was amazing and should have been what the Tyson fight was. The story succeeds in its simplicity and as a spin-off. The movie shows Chang Tin-Chi's life after his loss to Ip Man. It shows a man who has distanced himself from martial arts, becoming a hermit. He is brought out of his shell by those who are corrupt and evil. The story is relatable. It's about a man who just wants to be left alone.
今次嘅張天志係葉問三入邊再衍生出嚟，獨立係一個電影，同葉問比武輸咗之後發生嘅事。
同埋佢放棄咗詠春，加上好低調咁同個仔一齊過平凡嘅生活。
一個男人又要照顧事業，又要照顧家庭啦，佢哋通過好多好困難嘅嘢，咁我覺得係好特別，好有深度嘅。
個社會好多麻煩嘢，唔到嘅平凡，所以佢用翻詠春嚟對付啲壞人。
Chang Tin-chi thought Wing Chun could make him famous and fill that hole in his heart, but he learns it's not about fame.
我曾經以為功夫係用嚟俾我揚名天下，後來我淨係想做個普通人。
It works perfectly as a spin-off since it draws parallels from Ip Man. If Ip Man is Superman, Chang Tin-chi is Batman. Chang Tin-chi is more street level. He fights in private, and he fights for a sense of street justice, and for those who are plagued by drugs. Throughout the story, throughout his journey, he learns his place in the world. In Ip Man 3, we see him fight for fame and to fight to have a name. But here we see him fight for justice. We see him fight for what he thinks is right, and this is character evolution. And this is why it works so well as a spin-off. The character grows from Ip Man 3, not because of Ip Man 3. What could have been a feeble attempt to ride on the coattails of Donnie Yen's franchise turns out to be an exhilarating, tightly paced, expertly crafted martial arts romp. This movie could have been more like Ip Man and had Chang Tin-chi become static, as his arc was technically done in Ip Man 3, but it wasn't. It expanded on what we saw at the end of Ip Man 3 and gives closure. Chang Tin-chi learned to put away his want for fame to become a family man and focus on his son. However, he isn't complete. There is still a part of him missing. Not only in his heart, but in his relationship with his son. His son wants to learn Wing Chun like his father and connects with him on that level. Chang also bases his moral compass around Wing Chun. So when he stands up and accepts Wing Chun, it's not only an action moment, but a character moment.
Chinese think too highly of yourself. Always wanting to be the hero. Hasn't anyone told you that heroes die quickly?
我唔係嚟做英雄嘅。你個租金，我話過唔會欠你嘅。
攞翻去俾你個仔買糖啦！
你自己俾佢啦。
成日扮有性格。
我唔係敗不支持嘅人。我係力答你㗎。詠春，張天志。
A hero is famous. A hero is a winner. Chang Tin-chi is not a winner, and he doesn't want to be famous. Here we see his final declaration. He's not fighting for fame. He's let that all go. He's rid himself of pride and egotism. He's accepting Wing Chun back into his life, but this time he's not fighting to be a hero or to be famous. He's fighting to beat the bad guy. "2019 was the end of many things, from Star Wars to Marvel to a degree with Endgame. However, while all these conclusions were happening, I was looking towards a different conclusion. A franchise that, like Marvel, had been around for around a decade, and one just as close to my heart, the Ip Man series. The series has become a giant with 4 movies and a spin-off. So here comes 2020. Now, the movie did come out in 2019, but I saw it in 2020, so I came in expecting not much more since it was the same team which worked on 3, and I expected just another movie that I wouldn't like. But I have to say, it was a good ending, and it had some great action. However, the story and plot elements were quite weak, which really dragged the movie down. My biggest gripe with the movie was how they dealt with Ip's cancer. His cancer was there. They told us it was there, but we were never shown the effects that it had on Ip. But the action was amazing, so sort of just makes you forget. Scott Adkins feels like a complete physical threat. There are 3 main fights in this movie, 2 of which are Ip's fights, which shows us that they learned from 3's mistakes. They decided to turn down the action and focus more on character. This movie focuses on Ip and the relationships around him, and the relationships that he's forged over the years. His relationship with Bruce, his son, and dealing with his own cancer, and making sure he leaves after providing a better life for his son. This movie learns from 3's mistakes and adds more emotion and personality to the fight scenes.
因為我最着重你打嘅理由啦，即係將打變成硬娛樂，我覺得唔會係一部好嘅電影。
When he stands to fight Collins in the middle of the Mid-Autumn Festival, it's to stand against the insult of martial arts and to attack his fellow masters. When he goes to confront Scott Adkins, it's because his character is racist. How he goes around beating Chinese people up without any regard. He is there to seek revenge and stand up for his fallen friends. Wilson Yip perfectly describes the philosophy of Ip and martial arts as a whole when it comes to Ip Man 4.
即係練武嘅人嘅正義感，其實除咗強身健體之外，佢應該要有一份正義嘅責任啦，或者對社會嘅責任啦。見到唔公義嘅事，佢會行出嚟。
The cinematography of this movie is also just amazing. The way the action is staged is just amazing. It shows all the knowledge that they've learned from all 4 movies combined together to make this 5th and final movie. The cinematography of this movie is also just amazing. The way the action is staged shows all the knowledge that they've learned from all 4 movies combined together to make this 5th and final movie. The camera work from each of the fights mimics how exactly the fight is supposed to feel. The one-handed fight between the 2 masters with close zooms, close tracking, and how close quarters the fight feels is amazing. The camera glides as their hand glides to counter each other, and when they split up, the camera shifts outwards again. Then when they come back in, it slowly zooms in again, and they come together fist to fist. The camera work is smooth and masterful, taking their experience with the Hung and Ip fight from Ip Man 2 to the next level. Makes you feel as if you were there in the fight.
导演很严格，他会把一个镜头拍到最好，他要最好的那一个时刻。
即係無論角度啊、整個氣氛啊、鏡頭啊，係一個有驚喜嘅一個電影。呢樣嘢係好難得。
還有一個特別有意思的一件事，就是單手跟單手對打，這個是從來葉問前3部都沒有。
However, the fight may have been too similar to the Ip Man 2 fight, as it ends in a tie and on a table, just like Ip Man 2. This sums up the entire movie as a whole. It was masterfully crafted, but it felt just too much like something we've seen before. The movie just seems to have a lot of anti-America, pro-China views, which can sometimes get really distracting if you understand how China likes to make their movies. Sometimes a lot of nationalism, a lot of pro-Chinese messages get in the way of these movies. Ip Man 4 was one of the best endings of this year. It perfectly wrapped up the entire movie series. It brought all the movies to a conclusion, not just on a technical level, but on a story level. We see the culmination of Ip Man's entire life in front of him. We also see the movie take everything they learned from 1, 2, 3, and Master Z into account to form this amazing, masterfully crafted movie. Is it my favorite Ip Man movie? No, but it's definitely a good finale. So, in retrospect, I love all of these movies. Some more than others, but this movie series has been a part of my life for a very long time, and it's very close to my heart. It's sad to see it go, but I'm glad it went out with a good finale.
詠春、葉問。